Hey, how you doing? It's April, I guess, 9th. It's like a Thursday or something, 2020. Going to give an update on the 31-foot, calling it the Dayton. That's what it is. It's a Dayton Ultrasport. Haven't come up with a nickname for it yet. It's in uh, restoration, repair, upgrade, whatever you want to call it. It was actually a really nice, clean RV when we bought it. Weren't able to test. The girl was in a fire sale, basically. She needed to sell it quick, and I wasn't able to test a bunch of the stuff out. But it was clean. That's a white carpeted roof, you know, and no only water damage to be seen is around the antenna crank here on a white carpeted roof. I mean, that's just incredible. And I have a repair kit for that with a new gasket. It's on the project list. Overhead does have a pull-out sleeping bunk, but for the most part, it was actually framed out with those big cabinets. So it's a big area on these Class Cs. The overhead tends to drop, droop, delaminate, and all that, leak like crazy. This one's not. There's some delamination on the bottom seams, and I'm going to address that, but it's the bottom seams, not the top. So I think that's really what saved this thing. Plus, it's low mileage, low hours, but that's not always a saving grace. Someone did keep after the roof, so it's in pretty good shape. I mean, it's a 96, but it's got 1986. I guess these things tend to run, look at that, like 10 years in arrears with styling. I mean, that's Miami Vice there. What do you even call that? Mauve sparkle rope deck, I don't know, or mosaic or something. I don't know what you call it. All that can be changed. I mean, it's no big deal. You could even dye these something gray or black, or I don't know. I'm not going to worry about that. Right now, I'm just worried about getting it up to snuff, ready to camp. This is actually a pull-out click-clack bed. No problems with it. I'm going to start in the front. Let's try to do some order here. All right. A lot of mechanical stuff. Under the hood, I had a no charge, slow charge issue. On the alternator, what I found was a pretty loose belt. Some lazy mechanic didn't want to pull the upper intake off, which you have to do. There's no adjuster bolt for the alternator belt. There's a separate serpentine belt and a separate alternator belt, and they just left it way too loose. I had to pull that upper intake off, get a pry bar in there. It's not easy on a van, but you got to do it right. So now we got good start, good charge. Also, I put in a, oh geez, look at that. Okay, so I did it. There it goes. I put in a pretty cheap Chinese wireless backup camera. So that is wireless. I mean, that wire going down there is for power. The receiver for it is way back in the overhead. And some people warned me, hey, they had problems with these. I didn't have a problem until now, but you can see there's actually interference here. And people said, hey, anytime you use a cell phone near it or somebody fires up a CB or whatever, it gets all. Now that's acceptable to me. I absolutely need that. Really, that's a must for me. Looking through the rear view mirror, you got almost nothing. There's a Fresnel lens on that back window, but it's junk. So tighten that belt. After I got this thing home, a bunch of stuff stopped working that had been working, which is really weird. Starter solenoid took a crap. Replaced that with an ultra heavy duty one. Now there's not a start issue. The solenoid that links the two batteries together was bad. I replaced that with one out of an old lawnmower just to be able to link the two batteries, but it only works one way, and it only works when the ignition key's on. So I'm going to get a digital load balancer, and I'm going to put a switch in here to be able to manually link the two batteries together. Replace the radio. That radio, brand new in the box, came with the rig, accepts Bluetooth. So you can use your cell phone to play music over the full surround sound. There's speakers, pretty good set of speakers in this thing, honestly. All right, what else did we do? Yeah, so that's my backup rear view camera. I just finished buttoning up the wiring on that today. So the way I have that wired is the monitor comes hot with the ignition switch, and the camera in the back is wired off of a marker light. So turning the marker lights off turns the camera off, turning them on turns it on. They tell you in the instructions that you're supposed to wire that to the, well, there just took a dunk on me again. I wonder if it's a problem with the marker light. It could be. I'll look into that. To the backup reverse lights, I put them on the marker lights. Look at that. Anyway, must have. Got to make sure. Some people said, hey, don't get the wireless ones. I bought 2 or 3 of them, and they might be right. They said spring for the wired one and go through the pain of wiring it all the way 31 feet back to the back, however you can. So we'll see how this one works. All right, so she's running good. I got a full tank of gas in her. Got about 3/4 of a tank of gas run through it. 460, running strong. Goes down the road good. No problem with that. Everything on the truck works fine. I wish it had an airbag. It doesn't, but what are you gonna do? It's 50,000 miles on it, and didn't have a right side mirror. That was really expensive. That was almost $200. But you gotta have it, and to be honest with you, that's a way nicer mirror than the stock one. That's the stock one. So the mirror had been broken off. I guess somebody hit it with something or whatever, and I could not find a direct replacement. This one took a bunch of modification. I'm not super happy with them saying it fit this truck for the amount of holes and fabrication I had to do to get it mounted. But I'd rather have a really nice bigger mirror on my blind side, on my right side, than over here, because I can look over my well, not really here. I can at least look over my shoulder and see a lot more stuff on my blind side. There is a wide angle there, so we'll see going down the road. That's really good coverage. It overlaps what I can see with that, and there is actually really big windows here that I can look over my right side shoulder and see. I have that table and valence blocking that, so there's actually really good visibility over the blind side here when you're going down the road. But you gotta have a really good mirror over there. So whatever, it's like $185. Gotta have it, man. You gotta have it. All right, bunch of other stuff going on. I'm gonna put a TV up here. That's not the one I'm gonna put in here. There was a CRT glass tube TV in here, so I'm gonna do a swivel bracket. I have the bracket. I just got to get a TV with the holes in the back so that the TV slot, basically a widescreen, TV slides into there like that and stows, and then when you're ready to watch it, bring it out like this. Got a DVD player in here. The huge issue with this, I like the layout. I'm not a huge fan of it. This is my biggest problem with the layout here. I don't really need a pull-out bed here. It's got one. It's big, full size. I can sleep on it, and probably it's actually a little bigger than the one that was in our old 78. But we don't need it because we got queen size bed in the back. But it caused a really nasty little narrow choke point here, and I can't tell you, just getting this thing ready and working on it, how many times I caught my big old size 12 on this corner. So I notched that out with a jigsaw. It's not pretty, but since I did it and I took the trim off of there, and I think I'm fixing to take the trim off of there too, it's so busted up from people doing exactly what my problem was with it. But I busted my toe on this thing more than enough times. Now at least if you kind of drag your foot on it, it's not going to catch. What else we got here? Girlfriend has started nesting. She bought a nice bedspread for it, so that's how you know she's happy. Matching bedspread. It actually kind of goes really nice. I just like the color of it way better than Miami Vice here. This thing actually had a ceiling fan and it works, so that's pretty cool. This shower is really, really awesome. All that light is coming from a dome light up, like a skylight up there, and the dome light gives extra headroom. And this, I don't know what you call that, frosted or shell scalloped glass, it just gives so much light to the whole bedroom and even part of the cab up here. Like I said, a bunch of stuff that wasn't working when I got, or it was working when I got it and brought it home, stopped working. The generator was not working. That took a full overhaul. Carburetor, there was electrical problems with it. It needed a fuel primer switch. It needed a fuel pump, and some other stuff. But I'm happy to report, oh yeah, oh yeah. So the AC and DC systems are all working fine. Wait for that panel to give us a cut on here. This is our monitor board. It's not on yet. That house battery's a little weak. I might have to replace that deep cell. There it went. Beep. Microwave kicked on. We got full power here. I filled up the liquid propane gas. We're in COVID-19. I filled up the gas tank, lockdown, and the fuel tank on it just as a precaution in case someone needed to use this for quarantine. That's why I'm kind of in a rush to get it done. The other big issue that was not working was the heat was not working, and it worked when I brought it home. So I just gotta grab the manuals. This came with full manuals, and I found a couple problems. The main issue was the control board. I'll go into that. I'll do a whole separate video on that. I'm running out of time here. Control board had to be replaced, and the safety switches had to be bypassed. So the high limit and the vane switch are currently bypassed. I do have to fix that, but I'm gonna have to pull the entire heater out of the side of the RV. I thought I could cut an access panel in here to get at the switches, and when I pulled the top cover off there, can't get at them. So I'm gonna have to pull that whole thing out. But I have the switches bypassed to the point where it does work with the new control board. So I can get some heat in here. I have AC power, DC power, I'm charging. Engine runs, coach runs. Only last thing I really have to test out is the water system. I mean, the pump does work. It's winterized, and we're still looking to see some freezing temperatures here. I'm not gonna put water in this. The hot water heater does fire. That's the fire up switch for it there. So that's good. Oven works, burners work. That's where we're at. I mean, I'm still kind of in heavy construction with it. Once I get that heater buttoned up, make sure all the water is working fine, I can start putting her back together and clean her up and do some camping. We're probably going to camp out here at home. You know, that's just smart for the first time you're using something. And considering the COVID-19 pandemic, that's smart to stay home, camp out here, make sure everything's working, set up the way we want it to. All right, so that's where we're at with it. I just love this bedroom. People are like, oh, you know, there's not a lot of room over there. I'm not walking around in my bedroom, you know. I'm not doing activities and workouts back here. I'm sleeping, so make the bedroom full of the bed. That's why I'm back here, you know. Yeah, but other than that, yeah, test the water systems out. This one has the separate, what do you call it? Wash closet, maybe, with the toilet and sink. Across from here. Oh yeah, this had an accordion door here, and that was another choke point. I was catching my foot on that. That stuck out 4 inches when it was compressed. So I removed that. It's sitting back here. So here's another accordion door. And I thought, well, you know, we don't have kids or anything like that. If you want to separate the bedroom off, use that second door. Why have this stuck out over 4, maybe even 6 inches, man, in that doorway? No bueno. I was catching my foot on that all the time too. So, yeah. So that's where we're at. Getting systems online here one at a time. I'll figure out those, whether that's the high limit or the vane switch, but I'm going to have to pull that whole heater out of the side. It's an Atwood of the RV, and I really want those safety switches in place. I'm not comfortable just leaving them bypassed. So that's where I'm at with it, man. Stay safe. Wash your dang hands. Do some social distancing. But you can do that in your RV, man. Take it out. Do some, you know, remote camping. Some boondocking. Now that the generator's working, you know, that's an option. All right. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Bye.